It's about 11 a.m. here in New York and in New Hampshire, where voters are just hours away from heading to the polls. With Ron DeSantis out of the race, Donald Trump and Nikki Haley are fighting for every vote they can get. In a Face the Nation interview taped before the Florida governor suspended his campaign, Haley didn't pull any punches against her remaining opponent.
He claimed that Joe Biden was going to get us into World War II. I'm assuming he meant World War III. He said that he ran against President Obama. He never ran against President Obama. He says that I'm the one that kept security from the Capitol on January 6th. I was nowhere near the Capitol on January 6th. But, Margaret, you don't be surprised if you have someone that's 80 in office.
Caitlin Huey-Burns is going to kick things off for us. She's got the beginning of our team coverage from Manchester, where she's following the candidates' final pushes. Hello, Caitlin.
Hey, good morning. Well, with just one day to go, this race is officially down to just former President Donald Trump and his former UN ambassador, Nikki Haley. And while it's cold outside, the heat is definitely turned up in this race over the weekend. They were going after each other, ramping up those attacks, and knowing that this second nominating contest could possibly be, for all intents and purposes, the very last.
Can you hear that sound? That's the sound of a two-person race.
Nikki Haley visibly upbeat after the announcement from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis Sunday that he was ending his presidential campaign.
It's clear to me that a majority of Republican primary voters want to give Donald Trump another chance.
I just want to thank Ron.
Donald Trump acknowledged his now former rival while picking up another key endorsement from South Carolina Senator Tim Scott.
We need.
The move was a snub to the former South Carolina governor, who sharpened her attacks, questioning Trump's mental fitness for office.
These things happen because the more you age, it just does, you have decline.
After the 77-year-old seemed to confuse Haley with former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi when talking about January 6th.
Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people, soldiers, National Guard, so whatever they want. They turned it down.
Still, Trump has the support of over half the Republicans in Congress, including New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik.
Does that mean that Donald Trump is the establishment candidate of the Republican Party?
No, it means that we are unifying behind him. That's where the voters are.
And speaking of voters, we talked to neighbors and longtime friends Doug Kraus and Kevin St. Pierre as they shared a beer.
I'm supporting Trump.
Nikki Haley.
For me, it's been Trump all along. I would like to see him dial it down maybe a little bit, but I applaud. I think he's an honest guy, and what he says, he did.
We love each other. So it's all good. I just laugh because when he says he's an honest guy, which I think opposite.
I wish that there'd be less, I don't want to say hatred, but people could do this and just have difference of opinion and keep it civil.
Oh, that's a nice idea. I like that. Civility in politics. Caitlin, what impact can we even expect from DeSantis' exit? I mean, I'm thinking he wasn't polling very high in New Hampshire anyway, and it seems like a lot of his supporters actually had Donald Trump as their number 2, so I'm not sure if his exit will make much of a difference.
Yeah, Anne Marie, we've been here for the past week talking to voters all over the state, and we've been very hard pressed to find a voter for whom DeSantis was their first choice. A lot of them were already supporting Trump and wanted DeSantis maybe to run, 4 years from now. But that really speaks to kind of what was going on the ground here, which was that this has, long been over the past week a race between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley. What's significant, however, about DeSantis dropping out now and putting his support behind Donald Trump is we've seen kind of the coalescing of the Republican Party around Donald Trump at a pretty quick pace. He's the second former rival in as many days to back Donald Trump. Remember, we saw Tim Scott over the weekend back him as well. And that shows kind of how much of an uphill climb this is for Haley, because she's trying to appeal to independent voters here in New Hampshire, but will still also need support from Republican base voters as well, who are at this point inclined to the former president.
All right, Caitlin, thank you very much. Let's turn now to Tony Dokoupil, who is in Manchester. You've been all over the state talking to voters, and the economy has been top of mind for many. I want to listen to a little bit of what voters had to say about the economy.
Well, according to the government, the inflation used to be at 9 and now it's at 3.
I don't know what pocketbook they're looking at, but it ain't mine. I got to take on 2 jobs.
We have like 6 of us in the house, 5 of us work. I pay for my school. My brother pays for his schooling. My sister pays for her own stuff. So yeah, you know, it's like if you go back like 30 years, 2 incomes would have covered all of our expenses probably.
I don't know. That's a bit of nostalgia. I'm not sure if 30 years is, if you go back 30 years, you'll find that. Maybe more like, I don't know, 50, 60 years. But if voters are unhappy with Bidenomics, then which candidate do they think can actually fix the economy for them?
Well, you know, the reality is that presidents don't have as much control over the economy as voters would like to give them credit for. There's a lot of up and down and global effects that they just can't put their finger on, even if they want to. But I think what's really notable for Joe Biden is he does have a lot of indicators going in the right direction. Wages are up, inflation is way down, and yet outside that grocery store in Derry, we didn't find a single voter, actually, who was feeling optimistic about things. And I think the reason is food prices are continuing to go up. And if you think about human nature, it's the little things that you deal with every day that you really notice and remember. So even if your overall inflation is down and all the big macro statistics and data points are right and Bidenomics is really working on the big level, on that small everyday level, when you go to the grocery store, your frozen orange juice is up double digits. Your steak is up double digits. When you go to the vending machine, this is an actual data point, vending machine food up double digits in 2023. And so voters remember that. That really sticks with people and it annoys people. There's another moment in the conversations with people at the grocery store where I asked a woman, she had a big cart of food, she's got 2 teenagers at home, and I said, is there anything in particular in your cart that really kind of annoys you price-wise? And she smacked this container of energy drinks so hard, it was like we all jumped. And that, I think, speaks to the passion people have for, you know, it might only be an extra $1.50 or $2 per week. And do they have it in the big scheme of things? Yeah, they have it. But it just bugs them, and it makes them feel gloomy about the whole direction of things.
I will say this. When you're talking about my appetite and food, nothing little about it. It's really important. It's a big deal. Let me talk about Nikki Haley, though. So, you know, polling shows that Trump is currently has a double-digit lead over Nikki Haley. Who are her voters in New Hampshire?
Well, so her voters, you know, Trump tries to make the case that she's not really winning Republicans, she's winning Democrats and independents or people who vote Democrat. He's wrong about the Democrat part of this. You had to re-register as an undeclared or an actual Republican way back in October if you really wanted to make that crossover. However, this is true, and this is the big wild card that makes this race interesting. The biggest block of voters overall here in the state of New Hampshire are independents, what they call undeclared. And those folks can walk into either primary, the Democratic primary or the Republican primary, and they can really swing things. She does disproportionately well among those voters. She also does disproportionately well among voters who have a college degree. Trump does really well among Republicans, who are that smaller piece of the pie here in New Hampshire. So the math here for Nikki Haley has to be she really outperforms in that middle group and among college-educated Republicans and can peel off enough old school Republicans from the Republican base, if those exist still, to add her number, to make her number bigger than Donald Trump's. That's everything here for Nikki Haley. If she can't do that, then those double-digit results we're seeing in the polls, they're going to be the ones that show up on the only poll that really matters, which is the one they take on Election Day.
Right, of course. Tony, thank you very much. A reminder, you can stream our coverage of the New Hampshire primary all day tomorrow right here on CBS News.